circumstances under different climatic influences. They have nothing to do in this world save and except reclaim the fallen souls rotting in material existence, delude. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Galadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam yat kripatamaham vande Paramananda Madhavam yat kripatamaham vande Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So Parikshit is now speaking, responding to the sages, assembled sages, and here this 22nd verse, all that was spoken by the great sages was very sweet to hear, full of meaning, and appropriately presented as perfectly true. Who is saying this? Huh? No, this is not Parikshit's statement. Huh? No. Which is, okay, assembled sages, their representative is speaking. Suta Goswami is speaking. The Bhagavatam begins with questions by the sages. Which sages? The sages assembled in Naimisharanya. They have assembled for what? 1,000-year sacrifice. 1,000-year sacrifice. What kind of sacrifice have they undertaken? What yagna? Rajsuya yagna, Ashwamedha yagna, so many yagnas we have heard in the scriptures. Which yagna have they begun? Sankirtan yagna. That's why they are asking questions from the speaker. That's why they have a speaker. In fire sacrifice, there is no speaker. Okay. Fire sacrifice, is there a speaker? No. So, of course, in fire sacrifice, they have chanters of mantras. In that sense, you may say they are kind of speakers. But in this particular Sankirtan Yagna, which is the same yagna which Parikshit has undertaken. Same yagna performed by Maitreya and Vidura. Same yagna throughout the Bhagavatam, so many devotees have performed earlier. So what is Bhagavatam? It is a book describing Sankirtan Yajna. Is it not? Everywhere you see, Narad Muni is inquiring from Brahma. Yudhishthira Maharaj is inquiring from Narad Muni. Dhruva is asking questions from Narad Muni. Prithu Maharaj is asking questions from the four Kumaras headed by whom? Sanaka Rishi. Like that. Throughout the Bhagavatam, there is only description of Sankirtan Yagna. So, these questions, initial questions raised by the sages of Naimisharanya, Suta Goswami answered them. In chapter 1, the questions are given, and in chapters 2 and 3, the answers are also given. But at the end of 3rd chapter, something very, very revolutionary happened. What is that? What happened when this conversation is going on? Bhagavatam would have got over by just those questions and answers. First chapter, 6 questions by the sages, and second and third chapters, the answers to those 6 questions. But something happened at the end of the 3rd chapter that is described here, because of which the Srimad Bhagavatam got expanded to 18,000 verses. What happened? Sages asked questions, so Suta Goswami answered them. And he even says, now I have answered all your questions. Yes, correct. He says that, but before that, what does he say? Huh? That is one of the answers to one of the questions. Correct. That's the last question they ask. Where is Dharma now? Where has Dharma taken shelter? Yes. So that question was answered. That question was answered. Krishne swadhamopagate dharma jnana dibhissaha. That's the last answer. Okay? The 3rd chapter. Let me recite that verse to recapitulate. Krishne swadhamopagate dharma jnanadibhissaha kalau nashtadrishamesha puranarko adhunoditaha. This Bhagavata Purana is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. This is the answer to that question, 6th question. Dharma kam sharanam gataha. 1st chapter, the last question. Bruhi yogeshware krishne brahmanye dharma varmani swam kashtam adhunopete dharma kam sharanam gataha. Since Sri Krishna, the absolute truth, the master of all mystic powers, has departed for his own abode, please tell us to whom the religious principles have now gone for shelter. The answer is, the religious principles have taken shelter in the Bhagavata Purana. But something happened after this. Last answer was given. What happened? You know the answer, but you're not somehow able to tell it in a concise way. No. Suta Goswami, of course, he spoke, that is right. But then, what is it that changed the whole conversation, brought about a revolution in this conversation? It is Suta Goswami telling the sages of Naimisharanya, okay, the last verse of the third chapter, the first canto. O learned Brahmanas, when Shukadev Goswami recited Bhagavatam there means in the presence of Emperor Parikshit, I heard him with rapt attention, and thus, by his mercy, I learned the Bhagavatam from that great and powerful sage. Okay, that also is nothing revolutionary, that he heard it. He was present in the assembly, he heard it. So many people heard. But something, the last sentence of these last words of the third chapter, first canto, Bhagavatam. Now, I shall try to make you hear the very same thing as I learned it from him and as I have realized it. Yathadhitam yathamati soham vaha shravayishyami. Now, what is the reason why he is telling that I shall make you hear the very same thing as I have learned it from him and as I have realized it? What is the reason? No, what is Suta Goswami told in the when he began answering, he told something very significant to the sages. After hearing the questions, Suta Uvacha, Suta Goswami, he begins to speak. Second verse of the second chapter of the first canto. So the second and the third verses, he offers his respectful obeisances, glorifies his spiritual master, Shukadev Goswami. Yam pravrajantam anupetam apeta krityam. That verse, as well as Yah swanubhavam akhila shruti saramekam adhyatma deepam atititirshyatam tamondam. Beautiful glorification. He pays his obeisances, his respects to his guru, Shukadev Goswami. Then he says that of course he also offers his respects to Narayana and to Naranarayana Rishi and to Saraswati Devi and to the author of the Bhagavatam, Vyasadeva. After that, something very, very, very important he says that is connected to the last verse of the third chapter. What is it he says? Munayaha, O my dear sages who are assembled here, sadhu prushtoham bhavadbhir loka mangalam. Your questions have been justly raised. Your questions are sadhuvada. They are proper questions to be asked. Because Yat kritaha Krishna samprashno yenatma suprasidati. Because they relate to Lord Krishna, all the 6 questions have got one thing in common. They all relate to Lord Krishna. Yat kritaha Krishna samprashno. Krishna samprashnaha. Yenatma suprasiti. Only questions of this sort are capable of completely satisfying the self. Only questions of these kind. So, seeing the eagerness of the sages of Naimisharanya, eager to hear about Krishna, therefore he did not stop speaking after completing the answers to the 6 questions. Even they did not ask. After the 6 questions, they did not ask, tell me more about Krishna, tell us more about Krishna. They didn't ask. Right? So his last answer, the last question's answer, the 6th answer, even before he actually tells the 6th answer, he has mixed up something about the Bhagavatam in that 6th answer. Because the 6th answer is, the Bhagavata Purana has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna. He is as brilliant as the sun. He says that. So, Suta Goswami is observing, they are very eager to hear about Krishna. So, what is that Sankirtan Yagna, 1000-year sacrifice they have undertaken? Simply meant for hearing about Krishna. That's all. That is the sacrifice they have undertaken. Yat kritaha Krishna samprashno. And because they are eager to hear about Krishna, therefore he begins to speak about Krishna in the form of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Therefore, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, this Bhagavatam can also be called as Krishna Samhita. He has written one book, Krishna Samhita, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He gives a summary of the Bhagavatam in that book. It's a small book, not a very big book. So, this Bhagavatam is Krishna Samhita, which means, Samhita means Vedic literature. Samhita means Vedic literature. So, this is a special Vedic literature. There are many Vedic literatures. The Puranas, the Itihasas, the original Vedas, the Upanishads, the Dharma Shastras, Vedangas, Upavedas, Ayurveda, Arthashastra, so many. But among all these Vedic literatures, one Vedic literature exclusively pertains to subject matter of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that is Bhagavatam. And you see why he has chosen to speak on the Bhagavatam. Because their questions are pertaining to Krishna. And Bhagavatam is the literature, Vedic literature, which pertains to Krishna exclusively. According to Sripad Madhvacharya, Hari Sarvatra Giyate. Actually, it is only the Supreme Lord Hari who is glorified in all the varieties of Vedic literature. Vede, Ramayane, Chaiva, Bharate, Purane, Bharate, Tatha, something like that. So he says all Vedic literatures, they are simply glorifying Hari. But one Vedic literature is not just glorifying Hari, like the other literatures. Of course, it is glorifying Hari, Supreme Personality of God. But it is glorifying Hari exclusively. Throughout the Bhagavatam, only Krishna is glorified. Now, Krishna is glorified. Somewhere you see Prahlad Maharaj glorified. How can you say only Krishna is glorified? Dhruva Maharaj is glorified. Parikshit is glorified. Shukadeva Goswami is glorified. No, second and third verses. What is Sutta Goswami telling in the Bhagavatam? He is glorifying his Guru. So, the Bhagavatam explains Krishna is the absolute truth. Satyam param dhimahi om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Krishna is the absolute truth, the personality of God, that supreme personality of God. So, Krishna means the person Krishna with his energies, with his parts and parcels, with his expansions, with his abode, with his qualities, with everything. So Krishna as absolute truth means everything in existence. Everything and everyone. So therefore, here in the Bhagavatam, whether devotees are glorified or Krishna's abode is glorified or Krishna's energies are glorified, it is glorification of Krishna only, because Krishna is the absolute truth. So in the other literatures also, Krishna only is glorified according to Madhvacharya. But still there is a difference between Bhagavatam and other Vedic literature, which I just now said. What is the difference? Exclusively Krishna is glorified. Now how can you say exclusively Krishna is glorified when Dhruva Maharaj is glorified, Prahlad Maharaj is glorified, Shukadeva Goswami is glorified, Parikshit is glorified? How can you say that? The difference is that Krishna is exclusively glorified only in the Bhagavatam. Okay. But what is the way we can understand that Bhagavatam is exclusive glorification of Krishna? The very title Bhagavatam, what does it mean? What does Bhagavatam mean? Bhagavata or Bhagavatam, the word is derived from Bhagavan. So Bhagavan is Krishna. Krishna is Bhagavan. So Bhagavata means everything in relationship with Bhagavan. That's the meaning of the word Bhagavata. So here Krishna is exclusively glorified means everything in relationship, everything that is in relationship with Krishna is also glorified. Everything in relationship with Krishna is also glorified. So, in the other literature, also, whatever is glorified is in relationship with Krishna only. But that relationship with Krishna is not highlighted. Is not highlighted in the other literatures. In the Bhagavatam, this is specifically highlighted. How is it highlighted? When Shukadeva Goswami is speaking answering Parikshit's questions, initially Parikshit asks only 2 questions to Shukadeva Goswami. What are the 2 questions? End of first canto. What is the duty of a person who is just about to die? Duties of a dying man. Yeah. And then one more question he asked. Huh? No, that is elaborating on the two fundamental questions. But first fundamental question is, what is the duty of a person who is about to die? That is specifically referring to himself. Okay. Then one more question he asks. Immediately he asks the next question. What are the duties of a human being in general? Specifically, he wants to know what are the duties of a person who is about to die. But he is asking on behalf of the other assembled sages. They are not going to die immediately. Or they are not going to die in 7 days. Okay. So he is asking on their behalf, in general, what are the duties of a human being? So what is that? What are the two questions? You should know the two questions specifically. Twenty-fourth verse. I now ask you about my immediate duty. Please tell me of the unalloyed duty of everyone in all circumstances, and specifically of those who are just about to die. Now, he is not asking exactly these two questions to Shukadev Goswami. He is asking to the assembled sages, Brahmanas, assembled Brahmanas. He is specifically asking immediate duty. What is his immediate duty? And in general, tell me the unalloyed duty of everyone in all circumstances. General question. And specifically of those who are just about to die. So throughout the Bhagavatam, this unalloyed duty of everyone in all circumstances is pointed out as pure devotional service to Krishna. And specifically those who are just about to die, also it is only pure devotional service to Krishna, ante narayana smritihi. Same thing. It's the same thing. So, today's verse, this 22nd verse, after hearing those sages, assembled sage Parikshit Maharaj, desiring to hear of the activities of Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of God, congratulated the great sages. And this is before Shukadev Goswami appears. He tells them that you have all very kindly assembled here, having come from all parts of the universe. You are all as good as supreme knowledge personified. So Prabhupada explains what's the meaning of the assembled sages are supreme knowledge personified. Because these sages, they are fully cognizant of Vedic wisdom As I explained yesterday, in the upper planets, who lives in upper planets? Marloka, Janaloka, Tapoloka, Satyaloka. Those who are interested only in self-realization. They know the goal of life is self-realization. Right? And they are engaged in what? Only in activities aimed at achieving self-realization. So, such sages, fully cognizant of the Vedic wisdom, therefore they are known as Vedas personified. Therefore they are known as Vedas personified. So Parikshit is glorifying them as Vedas personified. And he also says, you reside in planets above the three worlds. As I explained, three worlds can mean upper, middle and lower, beginning from Satyaloka. Beginning from Swargaloka. Swargaloka. Where the demigods live, who are secondary controllers of this universe. Universal maintenance. So below Swargaloka is Bhuvarloka. Bhuvarloka. Bhuvarloka example is Pitraloka. Swargaloka example is Indraloka. Or even Suryaloka, Chandraloka. That is example of Swargaloka. Example of Bhuvarloka, Pitraloka. And example of the middle planetary system. Of course, Bhuvarloka belongs to the middle planetary system. Even Bhuloka belongs to the middle planetary system. And other 7 planetary systems, they all belong to the lower planetary system. So, in these 3 planetary systems who resides, they are simply interested in different varieties of sense gratification. Whether they are pious or impious, whether they are ignorance or they are in knowledge. They are interested in sense gratification. Whereas the residents of those who live above the 3 worlds, who reside in the planets above the 3 worlds, so they are not interested in sense gratification. They realize sense gratification is worthless. It is never to be, you can never get complete satisfaction or complete happiness by sense gratification. That they are convinced. So they are interested in self-realization, and which is the right thing to do. If you want full satisfaction or full happiness, you should aim for self-realization. So, since they are engaged only in self-realization, they don't have any desire like we have in the Swargaloka, Bhuvarloka, Bhuloka, Patalloka. They don't have desires like us for sense gratification. So, they are called practically desireless devotees by Prabhupada. Prabhupada describes them as practically desireless devotees. And they have no interest in either this life or in the next, means they have no personal interest. They have no personal interest. They only have the desire for self-realization, and their interest is to actually attain that self-realization. They are always engaged in welfare activity for others. You are naturally inclined to do good to others. Paranugraham Atmashilam. Paranugraham means doing good to others. And that is their very nature, Atmashilam. They want to do good to others. So therefore, Parikshit is glorifying them that you have come. I am blessed that you are present here. And therefore he asks two questions. The next verse, 24th verse, is the two questions, important questions. Parikshit asks. Okay. So here Prabhupada also says, these practically desireless devotees, if they come to these lower, the lower strata, the Swarga, they travel. Why do they travel? They descend to different planets as messiahs by the order of the Lord to deliver the fallen souls. On the earth they come down and do good to the people of the world in different circumstances under different climatic influences. They have nothing to do in this world save and except reclaim the fallen souls rotting in material existence, deluded by material energy. So those saintly persons who came from those Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapoloka, Satyaloka, they are all come to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam. They come to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam. They knew that Parikshit is no ordinary Rajarshi. He is an extraordinary Rajarshi. And he is going to quit the body in an ideal way. They knew that. So they have come to witness how is he going to quit the body. So as is described in the Bhagavatam, Parikshit decided to quit the body in full Krishna consciousness. And to prepare himself to be situated in full Krishna consciousness, he decided to inquire about Krishna. He decided to inquire about Krishna. Just like the sages of Naimisharanya are glorified by Suta Goswami, all your questions pertain to Krishna. Similarly, Parikshit's questions also pertain only to Krishna. Because Parikshit is already fully Krishna conscious by birth itself. How? In his mother's womb, when his life was in danger, Krishna personally entered his mother's womb and saved him from that Brahmastra released by Ashwatthama to kill the last surviving descendant of the Pandavas. And Parikshit had a glimpse of Krishna. Krishna gave him a glimpse of his original form. This is important. Krishna also appeared when Narada was doing tapasya in his previous life as the son of a maid servant. Krishna appeared. But he appeared in the sound form. He spoke. No, before that what happened? Narada had a brief darshan of Krishna in the form of Paramatma in the heart. He was meditating on Paramatma, and then suddenly he had darshan. And that darshan was for just a very, very brief moment. So Narada was doing meditation, and then suddenly he had darshan, and then he lost sight of Paramatma. Then he became very, 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 very unhappy. I lost something very, 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 very valuable. So then he began to again sit down properly and resume his meditation. Because by meditation he had had the darshan, no? So again he sat down to do meditation. And then he is trying to again to get that darshan. Just like some fortunate souls, they go to Tirumala first time. They have brief darshan. Something similar, right? Say, Randi, what do you say? Keep on moving. Huh? Padandi. They'll keep telling, right? Some volunteers and all kinds of security, right? To push people. So brief darshan they get, then they become very eager to again go. Same way, Narad Muni also again sat down for having that darshan once again. And then he could not have darshan. He is trying, he could not have darshan. Just like we go and try for ticket, again for darshan, ticket. Not available. Something similar. So then, when he became very perturbed, the Lord, in order to pacify Narada Muni, he spoke. An unseen voice began to speak. He heard very attentively, deep voice. Different than ordinary voice. The voice of the Supreme Lord. So Narada Muni heard very attentively. And what did Lord say? In this life you cannot have darshan again. In this life you cannot have darshan again. But he said, you continue in this way and you will achieve perfection of your self-realization. Continue in this way. So then he felt very pacified, satisfied, happy that the Lord spoke to him. But he could not have darshan again. Now Parikshit had darshan briefly again like Narad Muni in the womb of his mother. And again like Narad Muni he wanted to have darshan again. So he began to, as soon as he came out of his mother's womb, he began to examine, where is that person whom I have seen? Is he the person? That's why he got the name Parikshit. Parikshit means examiner. He became an examiner. Examining every person, whether it's the person whom I had seen, I want to see again. Is this the person? This is the person. So in this way he was always Krishna conscious, because when he is examining, he is remembering the form of Krishna he saw in his mother's womb, who came to rescue him. And which form of Krishna went to rescue him? The very form who was present in front of Arjuna and the Pandavas. The same Krishna who spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. That Krishna, the Krishna was incarnated from the spiritual world. That Krishna only entered the womb of Uttara, Parikshit's mother, and gave him brief darshan and also protected him. So, Parikshit is already Krishna conscious. Therefore, his questions pertain only to Krishna. He is inquiring about Krishna and he wants to hear about Krishna. And in that way, completely absorbed in hearing about Krishna, he will quit his body in full Krishna consciousness. That's his desire, that's his plan. And therefore, he is inquiring about Krishna. So I'll stop here. Any questions?
Hare Krishna. Please subscribe.